The cold wind of the alien planet cut through the night like a blade. Under a sky full of strange glowing moons, a group of aliens stood near a deep crater. Their scales reflected the red light coming from the lava below. They were known as the Dravix, a cruel race that believed humans were weak, soft, and useless. To them, humans were nothing more than toys to laugh at, or sacrifices to offer when the great dragon demanded blood. That night, their laughter echoed across the dark valley. They had captured an injured human girl, just 11 years old. Her small hands were trembling, and her clothes were torn from the crash of a destroyed human ship. The Dravix soldiers pushed her forward, calling her a fragile little earthling. They mocked her weakness, calling her unfit even to scream properly. To them, this was just another fun night. Feed a helpless human to the dragon, watch the flames rise, and go home with stories to tell. But what they didn't know was that this small human girl was not what she seemed. Something inside her was waiting to awaken. The leader of the aliens, General Zarn, raised his weapon and laughed loudly. "This little creature will make the dragon happy," he shouted. The others cheered. The ground shook slightly, a warning that the dragon had heard the call. The lava began to bubble, and hot air rushed through the valley. The alien stepped back, waiting to see the beast rise from the fire. The girl fell to her knees, too weak to stand. She could barely move her arm, which was wounded badly. Her breathing was shallow, but her eyes were open, calm, silent, and strangely focused. Inside her mind, memories flashed on her mother's face, her home on Earth, the sound of her father's voice telling her to never give up, even if the whole world laughs. Those words echoed louder than the alien jeers. As the dragon's shadow began to rise from the pit, the aliens started chanting. Flames burst out from the ground, revealing massive wings and eyes that burned like suns. The beast roared, shaking the mountains. The aliens laughed even harder, pushing the girl closer to the edge. But something strange happened. The dragon stopped. Its head tilted slightly and its burning eyes fixed on the girl. Instead of roaring again, it stayed silent. The laughter of the aliens faded for a moment as confusion spread among them. The dragon was supposed to attack, but it didn't. The girl looked up slowly. Even in her pain, her eyes were full of light. It wasn't fear. It was something else, and something powerful and deep. The dragon stared at her for a long moment, then made a low growl, almost like a whisper. The sound wasn't anger. It was recognition. General Zarn frowned. He shouted, ordering the dragon to finish the sacrifice. But before anyone could move, the air around the girl began to change. The heat turned into a strange blue glow. The rocks around her lifted slightly off the ground and a pulse of light spread outward. The alien stepped back in shock. The girl wasn't burning. She was glowing. The dragon let out a thunderous sound, not of rage but of submission. The massive creature lowered its head near the small human girl as if bowing. The aliens froze in disbelief. This had never happened before. Dragons never bowed to anyone, not even the Dravix kings. And yet here it was, kneeling before a weak, injured child from a planet they called inferior. The girl's eyes turned brighter. She whispered something that no one could understand, a language older than the stars. The blue light grew stronger and the ground shook violently. The Dravix soldiers screamed, running in fear. Lava erupted behind them, throwing fire into the sky. General Zarn tried to attack, but his weapon melted in his hands. The girl stood up slowly, completely unharmed. Her wounds were gone. The dragon opened its wings and roared again, but this time the sound wasn't terrifying. It was like a call, powerful and ancient. The girl looked around, confused but calm. The dragon's massive eyes stared at her gently, like it was waiting for a command. She didn't know why or how, but she felt connected to the creature. Something deep inside told her that this was not the first time they had met. Maybe not in this life, but in another. The remaining aliens hid behind rocks, whispering in fear. They could not understand what had just happened. The sacrifice had turned into a queenly figure, standing beside the most feared creature in the galaxy. General Zarn shouted again, but his voice was shaking now. He demanded the dragon to obey, but the beast ignored him completely. Then with one powerful swing of its tail, the dragon crushed the ground where the alien stood, sending many of them flying into the fire. The girl didn't move. She just watched, calm, emotionless yet strangely powerful. The dragon bowed again, waiting. The girl took one deep breath and spoke a single word. The sky above them changed color. The moons dimmed and a strange energy covered the valley. The Dravix soldiers realized in horror that the human they mocked wasn't just a girl. She was something else, something far beyond their understanding. And as the blue light surrounded her, the galaxy itself seemed to pause. The silence after the blast was heavier than any roar. The glowing blue light faded slowly, leaving behind smoke, fire, and fear. The Dravix soldiers who survived hid behind the rocks, whispering to each other in disbelief. The dragon, once feared as the god of destruction, was now kneeling before a small human girl. General Zarn stared at the child with wide eyes. His scales trembled as he raised his weapon again. "What are you?" he shouted. His voice cracked. The girl didn't reply. Her eyes still glowed faintly, and her hair moved softly in the strange wind that came from nowhere. The dragon's breathing was slow and heavy. Its glowing chest rose and fell, and every exhale sent waves of hot air across the valley. But the girl didn't seem afraid. She turned her head slightly toward the great creature, and the dragon lowered its eyes as if waiting for her command. The aliens had never seen anything like this. The Dravix believed dragons were mindless beasts born from the planet's fire. They had been using them for centuries to destroy enemies and rule weaker worlds. But now one of their strongest dragons was acting like a servant before a child from Earth. The girl looked around slowly. Her wounds were gone. The pain she had felt moments ago was replaced by a deep, strange calm. In her mind she could hear faint voices, echoes from a time she didn't remember. A woman's voice whispered her name softly. "Lina. Remember who you are." Lina blinked. She didn't understand where that voice came from. But it felt familiar, like a dream she had seen many times before. General Zarn growled in anger. "You think you can control my dragon, human?" he shouted. "You are nothing. A mistake of evolution." He raised his plasma weapon and aimed directly at her. Before he could fire, the dragon's eye burned brighter. A wall of flame erupted between them, melting the weapon in Zarn's hands. The heat was so strong that even the rocks started to drip like wax. The general fell backward, his armor glowing red from the heat. Lina turned her gaze toward him. She didn't speak, but her look was enough to freeze him in place. The dragon stepped closer, shaking the ground with every movement. Zarn's soldiers ran in terror, shouting that the girl was cursed, that she was something ancient, something the prophecies had warned about. The girl slowly raised her hand toward the dragon. The blue light appeared again, wrapping around her fingers like living fire. The dragon let out a soft growl and bowed its massive head beside her. The glowing symbol appeared on its forehead, the same one that now shone faintly on Lina's palm. The connection between them was real. Lina looked at her hand, confused, but fascinated. Why do you listen to me?" she whispered. The dragon's eyes blinked slowly. Then in a deep voice that rumbled through the earth itself, it spoke. "I have waited for your return." The aliens froze in shock. The dragon had spoken, a thing no one had ever seen in their history. Dragons did not talk. Dragons destroyed. Lina stepped back in surprise. "My return?" she asked. Her small voice trembled. The dragon's eyes glowed like fire. "You are the child of the first flame, the protector of balance, the one who was lost." Lina's mind filled with images, cities burning, stars exploding, and a woman holding a baby wrapped in light. She didn't understand, but every vision felt like a memory buried deep inside her soul. General Zarn, now trembling, tried to crawl away. "She's a weapon," he shouted. "Kill her before she kills us all." He called for reinforcements through his communicator, his voice desperate, but the dragon's head turned toward him again, and the air vibrated with a low growl that made the mountains shake. "Leave," the dragon said, its voice echoing across the valley. "Or burn," Zarn screamed in rage. "You can't threaten me, beast. I control this world." The dragon's eyes narrowed. Not anymore. With a single roar, the dragon unleashed a storm of fire that covered the sky. The flames didn't touch Lina, but everything else turned to ash. The Dravix army vanished in seconds, leaving only smoke and silence behind. Lina stood still, tears forming in her eyes. She didn't want to hurt anyone. She didn't even understand what she was or why this was happening. She looked up at the dragon and whispered, "Why me?" The dragon's tone softened. "Because your blood carries the memory of the first guardians. The humans forgot. The stars forgot. But the fire remembers. Lina took a step back. "I'm just a girl," she said quietly. The dragon lowered its head beside her. "Not anymore." As the night sky shifted and the twin moons glowed brighter, the blue energy surrounded them both once again. In the far distance, hidden ships of the far above the burning valley, stars glittered coldly across the black sky. The Dravix Empire's main command ship hovered silently in orbit, its massive shape blocking half the moons. Inside, the alien commanders watched the recording of what had just happened. A tiny human girl standing beside a dragon that bowed to her. None of them spoke for a long time. Finally, Commander Rin broke the silence. His scales flickered dark red as he said, "That child. She controls it. She controls the Ancient One." The others looked at him in disbelief. The dragons were said to be unthinking creatures, weapons born from the planet's fire. Yet this one had spoken, obeyed, and even protected a human. The Dravix leaders didn't care how or why. All they saw was power, power they could use. Rin slammed his claw on the table. "Send every hunter, every ship. Bring the girl alive. Whoever controls her controls the dragon." Down on the planet, Lina and the dragon rested near the edge of the valley. The fire had died down, leaving behind soft, glowing stones. The dragon's breath sounded like thunder, but his tone was calm. He had told Lina his name, Vorath, the last of the ancient guardians who once protected worlds before the Dravix corrupted them. Lina sat beside him, hugging her knees. She felt lonely and scared, but also strange inside, stronger than before. She asked quietly, "Why do they want me?" Vorath's deep voice rumbled, "Because they fear what they don't understand, and they desire what they can't control." She frowned. "But I don't even know who I am." "You will," the dragon replied. "The truth sleeps within you. It will wake when the stars align again." Lina didn't fully understand, but she felt the weight of his words. Somewhere deep inside her, she knew he was right. While the two rested far away in the sky, dozens of alien ships entered the planet's orbit. They were fast, deadly, and filled with Dravix soldiers. They carried plasma weapons, traps, and tranquilizer bombs designed to capture creatures far stronger than any human. Their leader was Commander Rin himself, ruthless and obsessed. He wanted the girl at any cost. As dawn approached, the first attack began. The ground shook as the ships fired magnetic nets and energy bursts across the valley. The dragon roared, spreading his wings to protect Lina. The air filled with explosions and smoke. Lina covered her ears and cried out. "Why are they doing this?" Vorath's wings shielded her from the blasts. "Because they do not learn. They only take." The dragon's tail struck the ground, sending a wave of fire that melted the nets. The Dravix soldiers screamed through their speakers as the flames swallowed their machines. But still more ships came, forming a ring around the valley. Commander Rin appeared on the main screen above them, his voice cold. "Human child," he said, "you don't belong here. Come with us peacefully and we will not destroy your friend." Lina's heart pounded. She didn't know what to say. She looked at Vorath. The dragon's eyes were calm but full of warning. "Do not believe him," Vorath said. "Their peace is a lie. Their mercy burns," Rin continued, pretending to sound kind. "You are special, little one. We can help you understand your power." Lina hesitated. "You hurt my people," she said softly. "You laugh when we cry. Why should I trust you?" Rin's smile vanished. "Because you have no choice." He ordered the next attack. Dozens of plasma beams struck the ground. The earth cracked open. The dragon roared, leaping into the air with Lina on his back. The flames wrapped around them like wings of light. From the sky, it looked like a storm of fire rising against the machines. The Dravix pilots shouted in panic as Vorath destroyed their ships one by one. His scales glowed brighter with each blast, reflecting the ancient power that flowed through Lina's connection with him. But even a dragon could not fight forever. The Dravix forces were endless and their weapons grew stronger. One of the ships fired a dark energy beam that hit Vorath's side. The dragon roared in pain and began to fall. Lina screamed his name, holding tightly as they crashed into a mountain slope. Dust and smoke filled the air. Vorath struggled to rise, his wing torn. "Run," he said weakly. "I'm not leaving you," Lina cried. "Run," the dragon repeated, his voice shaking the rocks. "They want you, not me. You must survive." Tears filled her eyes. She didn't want to go. But when she looked up, she saw the alien soldiers landing nearby, dozens of them. Their glowing weapons surrounded her. Commander Rin himself walked forward, smiling. So this is the famous Dragon Master, he said mockingly. You're just a child. Lina clenched her fists. I'm not your prisoner, Rin laughed. We'll see about that. He raised his weapon, but before he could fire, the ground beneath them began to tremble again. Blue light burst from the rocks. The same energy that had saved Lina before started to spread through the mountain. Vorath lifted his head weakly. The awakening has begun. The Dravix soldiers stumbled back as cracks of light appeared all around. From the ground, ancient symbols began to glow, the same ones that marked Lina's hand. Rin's eyes widened. What is this? He shouted. Lina looked at her glowing palm, then at the sky. The stars above her started to shift, forming strange patterns. She could feel something opening inside her mind, something vast and powerful. Her voice changed, deeper and echoing with energy. You should not have come here. A wave of blue fire exploded outward, knocking back every alien soldier. The ships above started losing control, crashing into each other. Commander Rin screamed as his armor cracked from the force. When the light faded, everything was silent. The soldiers were gone. The ships were falling from the sky like burning stars. Lina stood alone beside the wounded dragon, glowing with power she couldn't yet understand. Vorath smiled weakly. The flame remembers you, child. And then the mountain shook once more, this time from something far greater rising deep below the surface. The mountain cracked open like the shell of a giant egg. Lava and light poured out together, mixing red and blue into the sky. The ground trembled under Lina's feet. The air around her shimmered with strange energy that made even the stars seem closer. The dragon, Vorath, lifted his wounded head and whispered, It has begun. Lina stood at the edge of the glowing crater, breathing hard. Her hands still glowed with blue fire that pulsed like a heartbeat. She could feel something inside her waking up, something that had slept for 1,000 lifetimes. Vorath, she said softly, what's happening? The dragon's golden eyes blinked slowly. The seal is breaking. The first flame you carry is awakening. She frowned, confused. First flame? What does that mean? Vorath's deep voice rumbled across the valley. Long before the Dravix ruled, before even your world was born, there were beings of light, the guardians of creation. They shaped life, balanced the stars, and kept the dragons pure. You are one of their last bloodlines, hidden among humans, protected by fate. Lina's heart raced. You mean, I'm not just human? You are more, said Vorath. Half human, half flame-born. Your soul was reborn on Earth so the Dravix could never find you, but now they have. High above them, broken Dravix ships burned in the sky. Yet in the distance, larger shadows appeared. The Empire's main fleet. Hundreds of warships covered the horizon, their red lights glowing like angry eyes. Commander Rin's voice echoed from their speakers. You can destroy 100 ships, girl, but not an army. Surrender and we'll spare your planet. Lina looked up. Her eyes reflected the stars. You won't touch my home, she said quietly. Rin laughed through the speakers. Your home? Earth is already under our watch. If you don't come with us, we'll make sure no human survives. Vorath's wings twitched weakly. They speak lies, he growled. But Lina knew they weren't. She could feel distant echoes through her connection, fear, panic, and fire, as if the Dravix were already attacking somewhere far away. She clenched her fists. If they hurt my people, she whispered, then I'll end this. She walked forward to the edge of the crater. The light from below wrapped around her like a living flame. Her eyes burned bright blue now. The air hummed and the rocks lifted slightly off the ground. Lina, Vorath warned, if you release the full power of the first flame, you cannot go back. The child you were will be gone. She looked at him sadly. Maybe that's what needs to happen. The sky above darkened as the Dravix fleet opened fire. Beams of energy rained down like deadly comets. The explosions tore through the mountains, but the fire around Lina only grew stronger. The flames bent upward, forming a glowing shield that covered the entire valley. Commander Rin watched in disbelief from his ship. Impossible, he shouted. No one can block our cannons. But the sensors screamed warnings. The girl's energy levels were rising beyond measurable limits. Lina closed her eyes. Her mind filled with voices, ancient, calm, and full of sorrow. She could see visions of the guardians who came before her, sacrificing themselves to seal away the darkness that now ruled the galaxy. One of the voices spoke clearly in her mind. The flame was never meant to destroy but to renew. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "Then I'll use it to protect," she whispered. The next moment, the entire planet lit up. A column of blue fire shot from the crater into the sky, splitting the clouds and tearing through the Dravix fleet. Ships exploded one after another, turning into glowing dust. The shockwave spread across space like a silent storm, breaking weapons, melting engines, and shutting down entire systems. Commander Rin screamed as his ship cracked apart. "No, I am the Empire!" His words vanished as his